Okay, in this post you're going to see a link for a video from one of my other YouTube channels. It's the first video I posted on this channel, and I posted it this evening before the shooting incident. And then let me explain it, because the video has apparently been edited. What's going on in the video is it's about an hour and 30 minutes or so. It's while I was driving around doing Uber Eats orders. And in that video, I start to discuss the details and try to summarize as best as I can what's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years, and how I can prove the involvement of my family and others in tropical Texas and everything. And I start connecting the dots. Now, as I'm driving, well, what takes place is that, like I said, I was doing an Uber Eats order. So immediately within the first minute or two of the video, you see and you hear the screen go black, and then you hear the video mute for a second, and then the video continues. What's going on there is that my Uber Eats app is talking to me, giving directions, driving directions and shit like that. But I've already established and documented how the Uber Eats app as well as the Instacart app are both compromised, and they were being used to get me out of the house when certain times so they could either come into the RV and break in, or they could establish a timeline or something like that. But it was all intentional. I knew that the apps were being used against me, but it was the only option I had for making any money. So you keep seeing the screen go black, and what they were doing was, it was an effort to try to frustrate me, to make me look bad as I was trying to record this video. And now hearing it after they've edited it, it definitely, at some point, I even comment about it and say, that the Uber app was purposely giving me unnecessary updates while I was driving, in an effort to try to frustrate me and get me to snap or say something. And at some point, I even make a joke, how I was I was pretending like I was talking to my phone in my Uber app, like it was like a girlfriend. I'm saying, "I've never abused you, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna drive this car off the side of the road and kill us both." It was a joke. But if you don't realize what's going on and how the video was edited, at some point you basically what you hear is, "I'm gonna kill us both." Smart fuckers. So it was a joke. I was talking to my phone as a joke, and as it was a person, because it was purposely trying to piss me off, and it was doing its job. But it also, at the same time, this was towards the end of the video when I made that comment. Throughout the video, you see me still kind of interact with that voice, with the app. But if you don't know that the app's talking to me, what is going to appear to you is if I'm hearing things and hallucinating, and I'm talking to nobody. So it was the reason it was edited was to make it look like I was psychotic, and having and hearing voices and shit like that weren't there. It's fucking insane. So once I posted that video and they saw the video and the content that was on that video, that's when they went ahead and edited it so that Tropical Texas can establish a basis for a sectioning. Now, in the previous few videos that I posted this week, you see how I started getting harassed here at the house, or at the RV, midweek, and that they were trying to move me out of my RV without changing my address. And I had been suggesting that what they were trying to do was planning on somebody to take over my identity. And I briefly mentioned it, I think, a little bit in that video that I'm about to post, or the link to. Either way, everything I was saying is once again coming true. They were trying to get me out of this RV. This RV apparently was never paid for. It was a loaner from some either cartel guy or cop that was a friend of my uncle's. And you've seen the videos that I posted in Facebook, back in September and August, that was leading up to the supposed purchase of this RV. That it was a setup. I wasn't supposed to make it this far. I was either supposed to be dead or in jail, or in the nut house. So then they do the editing to establish some kind of like grounds for doing a section. I can show up to the RV. Uber contacts me again to distract me. I see the vehicle parked outside my RV. I come, as you'll see, as you see in that video that I just posted about the shots fired. By the time I get to my RV, because first I do what happens the first couple minutes in that video is you see me doing a perimeter check. So by the time I get to my RV, they're already gone, and I get out of the door, get out of the car, walk to my door, and then you hear the first shot, and then a couple minutes later you hear the other 5 shots. Now, while there has been mentions of snipers and stuff like that, from where I heard the shots coming from, knowing the distance and knowing everything that was in between, I knew that it wasn't a direct attempt to like shoot me. And in fact, you hear it at the end of the video where I'm thinking, what I was thinking was that it was an attempt for them to see if I would draw a weapon or not. Because the last couple of days we've been going back and forth with them threatening to, breach in my house, and I've been, telling them, I wouldn't, suggesting that I wouldn't do that. You don't know what I have. So they're trying to see if, and knowing that the whole area around here is under surveillance and there's cameras everywhere. That's exactly what they were trying to do. Was they were trying to establish whether or not I had a weapon. And I even mentioned that to the police officers, which will be in the next video that I post. I should also mention that the officers' names that they gave me when I was making the report were Officer Solis and Officer Fox. These are both Hispanic cops. The Fox definitely threw me for a red flag because here's the thing. What's the name of the doctor in Tropical, Texas, whose husband is a McAllen FBI agent? Solis. Dolores Solis. Also, Joel Solis, my family practitioner, who's also been involved with this. So, there's a Solis name that's thrown at me, and then there's the Fox name. Fox, very, very Jewish name. And I've established, I collected plenty of evidence and been able to establish that Danielle Fox, who also happens to be a mental health, I think she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist maybe already now. But anyway, she's in the mental health field. And the Fox family is connected to the Lansing and Bratz part of this story. And they're also connected to Russian intelligence. So is Lansing and Bratz. I dated a Russian intelligence officer. I didn't realize it at the time. Her name was Tatiana Oshinagova. Lansky and Bratz, Myers Lansky, was a mobster who was also Russian. And that was basically, a code name, a code that lets you know that Lansky and Bratz was Russian affiliated. And knowing that there were Russian and Ukrainian agents that were involved over at Tropical, Texas and at Rio Grande State, part of the reports that I've been making about all of this and have been in regards to espionage. Now, I haven't really mentioned it publicly yet, but I've got hard evidence that many people that are involved in this case are connected to Russian and Chinese intelligence. And that, in fact, 2 of the nurses that were taking care of me when I was over at Rio Grande State illegally, I recognized on cam, and they were both Ukrainian and Russian. So the Fox family, I can prove that they're involved with the sex trafficking, and also I can prove that they're involved with Russian intelligence. So that's why they gave me those names. All throughout this whole ordeal, everybody's been giving me fake names. But the Fox and the Solis family was, the names were meant to intimidate me. So I knew that those shots weren't going to hit me. They weren't supposed to hit me. They were supposed to cause me to call the cops that were Alamo PD, and Alamo PD started harassing me this past week because of the video I posted on my YouTube showing a certain officer from Alamo PD trying to cover up this fucking report And I posted a video about that, and that's the same officer that showed up on scene the other morning when this motherfucker was named John Rouse was harassing me. So, I know that's kind of a lot. To summarize that little bit, the game plan for tonight was to edit that video to establish a needs or grounds for sectioning me. Then to further enhance their reasoning or grounds for sectioning me, they fired the shots that weren't supposed to hit me. They probably fired them in the air. Cops were going to show up. I was going to make a report saying, hey, somebody's trying to shoot me. But they weren't counting on me actually documenting the incident and being able to prove that the shots were fired. So then the cops would have cooperated with the story, saying, this guy needs to be sectioned. On top of that, Alamo PD was going to say that they were investigating me for drugs. And somebody called today my phone trying to offer me an ounce of methamphetamine for $180. If you know anything about the drug trade, that's like a quarter of the price of drugs, of that kind of drug. They were trying to entrap me. So either way, their bases would have been covered. They were trying to get me to buy drugs, or say that I was under investigation or connected to somebody that was dealing drugs. And then say that because of this information, they went ahead and alerted Tropical Texas that I must have been having a methamphetamine psychosis or some shit like that. And then they were going to initiate the sectioning tomorrow morning. Because, as you see from the previous video I posted about them trying to move me out to a different area of the RV complex, but not change my address, it all connects. It all works. It all makes sense when you put all those factors together. You see exactly what they were trying to do. Somebody's trying to assume my identity tomorrow. The RV was supposed to be moved out by Monday morning, and that's not gonna happen. So this was their last ditch effort to try to intimidate me, either and or lock me up. So now I'm gonna have to finish the video, because the video that with the link that I'm posting right now was only the first part of a series of probably 2 or 3 videos. So I need to go ahead and I'm making videos all night, showing you the rest of this stuff. But up until this point, I kept saying that somebody was manipulating, me to think that my family was involved, or to, pass the blame off of my parents or other family members. The only reason I made those comments was because I was being threatened by my mother. And because I didn't realize it at the time necessarily, but now I do, that it was my family was behind this the entire time. I was, and they were sabotaging me being able to work. They were controlling the Uber Eats app and the Instacart app so that I couldn't make enough money to survive. So that I would constantly still be needing money from them, even though the money they were giving me was mucking money that they made off of sex trafficking me. The only reason I we're saying that is because I was dependent, and I have been dependent, and I'm still dependent upon them for any kind of money or food. It's really fucked up. But that's exactly what sex traffickers do. Is they manipulate their victims to where they're dependent upon them, so you have to go along with everything. It makes you easy to manipulate. And it's fucked up, man. It's sad. It's really, really sad. But now you know, when you watch that video, like I said, it's long, but you want to listen to it. And like I said, I got a couple more videos to make on that particular subject. But you'll hear if you just give it a chance and listen to the whole fucking story, it's obvious what's going on. It's so fucking obvious. It's not funny. The only problem is that there's so much corruption and so many people connected to this that, one, it sounds crazy because it's you don't want to believe something this fucked up can be happening, but it's the truth. And they're desperate now because I've got them on by the balls. So, as I've been saying all week in these videos, I don't have much time left. I called it at the beginning of the week. By this weekend, something's going to happen. Sure enough, it did. But those gunshots were directed at least at me or for my attention. It's either way, somebody was breaking into my house, because as you'll hear in the next video, that I recorded while I was making the report with the officers, somebody did break into to my RV, or at least was in the middle of it, because they opened up the side panel to get in through the stair panel. It leads it into my bedroom. It's like a laundry basket thing, and if you open it up, you can come right in. And so it's a security vulnerability. And yesterday and the day before, my family or whatever whoever these officers all are were harassing me online, saying that they got one of my USB drives, and sure enough, the USB drive was missing. So they had broken in already sometime this week, even though I have a padlock on the lock. I mean, on the front door that wasn't originally installed, because I knew that the original owner kept the keys. So I installed the padlock on the door myself, but I always knew that the panel underneath the stairs was still a vulnerability point, and I just locked it up this morning because we had a big windstorm with the cold front. But as you see in the video, the side panel was completely open, so they were trying to get in here at least. So the break-in is still verifiable. The shots, you could argue that those weren't for me, but the timing of it all, it's too coincidental. Like I said, I don't think they were meant to actually hit me. I'm fairly positive what it was to either just, one, intimidate or scare the shit out of me, to get me in that fight or flight state, so when I talked to the cops, I wouldn't be calm, and or to establish whether or not I really do have a weapon on me. And by the time the cops showed up, as you hear in the video, I didn't have a weapon on me at the time. So, yeah. So please, as you watch this first part of the video in the series, remember the blank parts are me being interrupted intentionally by this Uber app, and I did not mean when I said I will kill us both. I am not suicidal. And yeah, let me emphasize here. The criteria that needs to be met in order to section me needs to be that, one, I have a mental illness which proves a danger to myself or anybody else, which I will tell you right now, I've never valued my life more than anything. I've never valued my life more my entire life. Right now, I want to live. I am anti-suicidal. I don't wish harm on anybody, even my family, even the other people involved that have been abusing me and molested me. I wouldn't wish this pain on anybody. Thirdly, I want to protect my family and everybody who did this to me, because I want them to pay. And it's not my job to decide or determine what that payment will be. Whether it's years in jail or whatever punishment, that's not my responsibility. I don't want that on my head. I don't want any more conscience on my head, anything else to weigh down my conscience. I forgive my family. I forgive anybody else who's been part of this. And there are a lot of people. I forgive them all, because now that I forgive them, I can't be their slave anymore. And that makes me free for the first time in my life. So I will do everything I can, and I will defend my family's lives with my own, to make sure that they stay safe until they have the time to be seen by a judge. And from there on, whatever happens to them, happens to them. But I'm not going to live with that on my conscience. And so I'm not a danger to myself. I'm not a danger to anybody else. I can take care of myself. I'm showering, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I'm cleaning. Granted, the living room and kitchen are a little cluttered right now, but I've been a little distracted. My father was buried last week. But I'm not living in any conditions that are dangerous to myself, or unhealthy or unsanitary. However, they were fucking with my toilet to try to cause it to be unsanitary, which I've documented them admitting to it just a little while ago. You can hear it for yourself whenever I make that video, whenever I get around to it. There's a lot of fucking shit to go through. But I'm living, I'm able to take care of myself. I'm sleeping, I'm not manic, I'm being articulate, I'm not, my words aren't rushing, I'm not having racy thoughts. My eyes keep going back and forth a little bit more, but I'm recalling information, first of all. Secondly, I did have a fucking, major head injury, so, you gotta remember, you gotta take all that into consideration. So yeah, I'm not gonna go off and ramble on anymore. Now you know, and as more and more videos come out, you'll see. So we've got corrupt police officers, including Alamo PD, McAllen PD, and Edinburgh PD. Three officers now involved from Alamo, and at least 2 or 3 officers from McAllen for sure. At least 2 officers in Edinburgh, and at least 1 agent in the FBI office. And then, of course, Tropical Texas Behavioral Health. So I'm not going to be surprised if they come trying to knock on my door in the morning, trying to section me. And they will get resistance. Not physical. I'm just not opening the door. In order for them to serve their warrant, they have to establish the officers that are, that are going to be given a warrant under false claims, and therefore the warrant shouldn't be valid, first of all. Secondly, it would all be based on hearsay. Thirdly, it would be based on the video that was doctored. So the warrant shouldn't apply. But even then, if they manage to get that judge to stupidly write that warrant, the officers have to arrive with a mental health care individual, a representative who's qualified to evaluate me at that time. Last time they didn't do that. But either way, I have to be evaluated at that moment when they serve that warrant. And at that point, they have to establish that I am in danger to myself or others, or my mental faculties are deteriorating to the point where I can't take care of myself, or that I am incoherent, or manic, or experiencing psychosis and imagining things. None of which they will be able to do, because that is not the case with me. In fact, most of the diagnoses that I've had are false diagnoses anyway, and I've already explained about that. So they will not be able to establish any of that, which means I'm not going to the hospital more. And if anything, I just want to open the door. And then I'll get on social media and broadcast everything live so you can see it for yourself. The only thing is that because I know that I won't physically resist, if somehow they manage to get me into that hospital, I promise you I'm not coming out alive. I promise you they will, as you saw from the documents that I posted when they were trying to pretend to be with the McAllen, from that ER visit last weekend. They were trying to get me to sign over power of attorney to allow them to stick me with who knows what. So we've already established they're willing to lie to try to keep me locked up. We've already established that on numerous occasions. And we've already established that they're trying to get me to consent to let them conduct whatever experiments on me, because I've already busted them doing that. They've already tried to murder me several times, which I've already documented and established. They're not going to let me survive this. There's too many people involved that will be put away for life. First of all, for just the sexual offenses alone, not to mention the connection to terrorist organizations and other government intelligence agencies from other governments, which qualifies as espionage, which is punishable by death. So, because everybody involved with this is going to be connected to those kinds of allegations and have those kinds of punishments that they're could possibly be served on them, they're going to fight for their life, and they're going to fight hard, and they're going to take my life one way or the other. My father was murdered. I'm positive of it, because we both were being poisoned, and because his health was already failing, he succumbed to it. I didn't. Bottom line. We can argue about who exactly did it, who exactly poisoned him, but the only connection for both me and I is one person. I don't even want to believe it, but I can't deny and I can't unprove that my family abused me and sex trafficked me. And you can't deny the fact that my mother made sure that both front doors at the old house and at this new house before we even moved in were both painted red. If you don't know what a red door means, it means that it's a house of ill repute. It's a whorehouse. It's a trafficking house. So this has gone to the point where it's beyond a reasonable doubt. My family did this to me. And they've had other people do some of the dirty work, but this all leads back to my fucking family. And my life is on the line, and the lives of innocent children, and the lives of everybody in this nation, because they are connected to terrorist organizations and foreign government agencies. I can prove it. And what makes it all worse is that some of my family members who are compromised by China and Russia also have connections to the intelligence community, either as informants, like my father, or direct employment. So, to make that clear, you have compromised federal agents working here in South Texas, multiple compromised federal agents and police officers, government officials. And I can prove everything. I can prove it all. Now, some facts may be wrong because of misinformation, but the story in general is absolutely 100% correct. None of it is an hallucination. None of it is an over-exaggeration. This is 100% real, and tonight proved it.